hidden islands, yay! Don't worry, we do actually make progress in this part. It's just going to take a while. But we are going to make progress in this video, don't worry.
You can't escape me.
So this game was actually the very last game that Dimps ever made for Sonic that was completely original. Yeah! Guess I can't play this island then. And you know what sucks? This island, you need to beat it to be able to beat a Soul Emerald mission. Isn't that great? This never happened to me on the cartridge. So the only explanation I can think of is that this is some sort of anti-piracy measure, because it's apparently it's impossible to get all the Soul Emeralds and get to the last story if you're playing it on an emulator. And keep in mind, I was only able to show this game off because I could play it on an emulator. Don't worry though, borrowed footage will come to the rescue. I'm still going to complete this LP. It's just that not all of it's going to be my footage, because unfortunately, the game decided, oh, that's right, you want to show this game off? Well, fuck you. So, I did what I had to do. At the very least, I showed off the vast majority of it, and that's all that really matters. And it's weird that it's like the green Chaos Emerald is usually supposed to be the first one, especially since Emerald is usually associated with the color green, so you expect the green Emerald to be the first one, but it's the middle one here. But yeah, this was the very last Sonic game that Dimps ever made that wasn't a port. Because due to this game underselling, Sega decided to revoke Dimps' rights to making their own handheld Sonic games. Which is really, really lame, because they were completely successful with every previous Sonic game they made. But they decided to revoke their rights because of one game? Really?
You can't escape me.
That's kind of harsh, isn't it? I mean, this was still a good game. It was better first playthrough than Rush, at least. Despite the game underselling, critical reception was very positive at the time. Game Rankings gave it an 80% based on 33 reviews. Compare this to Rush's score of 83% based on 57 reviews. So it really wasn't negatively received by the people who played it. It's just that for some reason no one bought it. Maybe it was because of the water island motif, and it was released at around the same time as Phantom Hourglass, but it's not like people would buy a Zelda game over a Sonic game when they're two completely different genres. I despise the existence of that cutscene. And you're gonna know exactly why later in the game. You'll see. This game was published by Nintendo in South Korea, in spite of the fact that there's a Sega division there. So that's kind of weird. Some weird thing. There's actually some weird glitch in this game where if you immediately press R and left after being launched off the spring starting the level, your character will land back on the plane. Your character will land back on the plank, but in a 2D view. You see, the plank that you go off of in a 3D view when you start a level is a 3D model that will act glitchy if you land back on it. If you look up and down, it'll disappear from the other screen. So yeah, that's a pretty weird glitch. You can get back onto the 3D plank after you're sent off it. And look at how many lives I lost here. I'd like to point out that hidden islands don't have any checkpoints. Like, why? I mean, just because they're a minute long? There's plenty of levels in plenty of 2D Sonic games, and plenty of 3D Sonic games, where there are checkpoints, like, where there's multiple checkpoints in 1 minute. There's no reason that the hidden islands should have no checkpoints. It just makes the fact that they can be easy to die in all the more inexcusable.
You can't escape me.
Naturally, I was pretty hesitant starting another Coral Cave Island. But yeah, I don't really like how you have to jump into these red things either. It's not very satisfying because you jump into them and nothing happens. It's not like it breaks while you're jumping into the red part. Like, that would have been satisfying. Bullshit! There's a long stretch of land that you land on, so your Sonic instincts are telling you to boost. But instead, it's a precise platforming section that you're coming right up to. So you boost to your death. And that happened to me twice in my first playthrough. Well, once. The other time, I was able to save myself with Blaze's fire. But yeah, that wasn't a very well-designed, precise platforming placement. They should have done more to tell you to make you slow down. Like again, this would be one of the only instances where jumping upstairs would actually be a good level design decision, because that would force you to slow down before a precise platforming section. This is literally the exact same cutscene, but with a different background. Brilliant. Brilliant design. Why are we forced to watch it again? At least you can skip it, so you're not actually forced to watch it again. So, this game is pretty similar to Legend of Zelda: The Phantom Hourglass. Released within several weeks of each other, both games involve the protagonist getting caught in a storm that washes them up onto an island outside of their dimension, with their equipment either destroyed or lost. Link lost his inventory, and Sonic lost his Chaos Emeralds. Both games have a focus on watercrafts, and have you draw paths across the ocean with the stylus, which Phantom Hourglass did much better because you only had to try once. The games have incredibly similar color schemes, and both have an annoying new character who can't pipe down, but is good with watercrafts. And both games have a haunted ship with a green tinge for their fourth stage. It's amazing just how many similarities there are, especially considering you don't expect a Sonic game to be that similar to a Zelda game. Sonic is supposed to compete with Mario.
You can't escape me.
Sonic doesn't really compete with Zelda very much, so why is it start now? Maybe that's part of why the game failed. Like, I don't know. And not only that, but this game and Phantom Hourglass have manual saving. This is the only 2D Sonic game that forces you to save manually. And you know why that really sucks? It's possible to reset the game by accident. I remember watching the Hellfire Commentaries Sonic-a-thon playthrough of this, where Ted from Brain Scratch Comms, he was trying to skip watching a cutscene about one of the many watercraft upgrades. So he mashed all the buttons, and he ended up accidentally resetting the game, and he hadn't saved in a while. So he had to redo a whole bunch of progress to get back to where he was. He wouldn't have had that problem if the game had autosave. Like, for the most part, this game handles saving better than Rush because it saves when you beat an act. Like, with Sonic Rush, you have to beat the entire zone, and only then are you able to replay it. And with this game, if you beat one act and then you quit, then you can use the stage select to play Act 2. So it's not like you have to sail to the island all over again and beat Act 1 all over again. And the same goes for the boss. You beat Act 1, beat Act 2, but you want to quit and play the boss later, you can. So it handles saving better in that respect, just as long as you remember to manually save the game, so that you don't lose all of your progress. Is it just me, or is there a slowdown when you're boosting through a whole bunch of mines at once? I mean, this is satisfying, but... Isn't it weird? Like, it looks like I have infinite boost there, but I don't. It's like, I have max boost. Like, I have the boost at the maximum, but I'm not using codes. Like, you'd expect it to always be draining. And again, like, I love how this watercraft controls. Like, you move so quickly from left to right, but you're in complete control of how quickly you move from left to right because of the stylus controls, which is really good. But even though I was doing so well, I still managed to lose. Like, I don't know. There's a plot hole that I noticed that I only really noticed when Ted pointed out to me when I was watching the Sonic-a-thon. Like, remember when Marine and Tails were brought to Plant Kingdom? Well, how are Marine and Tails brought to Plant Kingdom on a one-person water bike? How does that even make sense? Like, Sonic has to go to Plant Kingdom on a water bike that can only have him on it. How were they able to get there with him? And of course, this is easily the cheapest hidden island in the game. You have to hold back on the control pad to make sure that you won't jump too far and overshoot the platforms and fall to your deaths. There's so many bottomless pits here, and you're forced to constantly be moving forwards. So you have to time it exactly right, and if you're moving too fast, you're gonna fall to your deaths. You move so quickly to the right when you land on the platform that it's very easy that after you hit the spring and you land on the platform to the right of you, you might fall to death anyways. And see ice on the map? Well, you're not going to be able to see the ice until after you've already filled up that part of the sea chart. That is so backwards. The sea chart should always show you, right from the very beginning of the game, how deep the water is and where the ice is. Like, again, that's not something that Wind Waker did. In Wind Waker, all the water in the ocean was exactly the same. You didn't have to worry about using multiple different watercrafts. Although, I'll say that the Wave Cyclone is a lot more fun to sail around in than any of the sailing in any of the Zelda games. Now we come to the worst part of the game. Well, second worst, I suppose. I'm not the only one who has a problem with this. You see, you have to specifically wait until the overlapping red circles disappear into each other before you can tap it. But even if you get used to that timing minigame, you're constantly swarmed by a huge amount of enemies all at once. And with the sliding enemies, you have to tap them and then hold the stylus onto them for a short while and then follow along with them as they move, even though it says slide over them. So you'd assume that it means you're supposed to slide the enemy. You don't assume that it means you're not allowed to slide the enemy. This is so bullshit. This is what happens when you die. Yeah. At least there's repair containers, but this isn't fun in the slightest. Why do people think this is so easy? It shoots the reaction times to shit that with the slide enemies, not only do you have to tap them and hold the stylus against them, but you also have to follow along with their movements after you do that. So you deal with them a completely different way than you do with the other enemies. So that means it takes longer for you to react to them. And by the time that you've reacted to them, they've already bitten into you. And there's too many enemies all at once on the screen. And the worst part about the submarine is that all those different red circles from all those different enemies overlap each other, and so it's impossible for you to visually tell which enemies are ready to be tapped. I don't understand why a rhythm-based minigame is a mandatory part of a Sonic game, when it's literally the exact opposite of a fast-paced platformer that rewards good reaction times. The submarine sections punish fast reaction times because you react too quickly, and so you tap too early. Apparently, you're supposed to tap in tune with the music. You're supposed to listen to the music to figure out when to do it. But listening to the music didn't help me at all, and I didn't exactly feel motivated to listen to it because the music, I can barely even tell that it has a coherent melody. You're not exactly motivated to listen to the music when it's not even good in the first place, so it's bullshit that it's a mandatory, well, not even entirely mandatory. But yeah, this is how you tell which islands you have to go to get the hints. So it's not like you're forced to look up a guide. Which is good because you can't tell where the hidden islands are You just have to blindly stumble through the sea chart and hope you bump into one. At least in Wind Waker, all of the islands were constrained to squares. But in this game, sometimes there can be islands on the very edge of a line of square. And I love how you got shown the same cutscene 3 times, by the way. That isn't padding. Like, this whole section of the game is padding. Why are you forced to get a whole bunch of hidden islands done just to be able to unlock Soul Emerald missions? Why are you forced to do all of that to be able to get to the next level? That's such a mood killer. This is considered to be the most awesome moment of the entire game for Blaze. Blaze finally stands up to her. Since you don't seem to understand what we're getting at, I'll just say it. You're a nuisance! And I cheered upon seeing that, but all she says after that is just what I said. Why? This is such an extremely underwhelming moment, considering how much of a nuisance she's been the whole game. You'd expect this to be the moment where Blaze tells her exactly why she's the most hated Sonic character. You expect her to give you the perfect "the reason you suck" speech, and tell her everything about why she's annoying, about how she's delusional and she doesn't listen. But no, she just scolds her very minorly like a disapproving mother. That's not really what we want in any game. While it is Blaze's awesome moment and everything, it's really only awesome in comparison to the fact that Sonic and Tails just let her do what she wants. Even Sonic the Hedgehog is too polite to tell her off. Why? I mean, Sonic is supposed to be the dude with the attitude. Why isn't he telling her off for her behavior? Why isn't he constantly bickering with her the whole game? He did that with Caliburn, but apparently with Shara and with Marine, he treats Amy even worse than he treats her. That is so out of character for her. It just proves that the writers were too in love with her to really understand how to realistically make Sonic react to her.